Welcome back to FM Jeeping. My name is Mark, and today we're going to be installing a Novak cable shifter in the Jeep XJ. So prior to starting the channel, I installed an aftermarket linkage, shift linkage in the Jeep. I was having a hard time getting it in and out of gear. I literally had to put it in neutral, do a little dance, pull up on the shifter, rev it up a little bit, pop it in, and it wasn't a good look. So I installed an aftermarket, we'll call it a hiem style shifter, and it did it okay. Now, I've never been 100% thrilled with how it shifted. Like how it shifted through gears was great. I didn't like how it set in too high, and in various times in extreme flexes, it would pop out of gear. But I actually had the Jeep pop out of gear not too long ago, roll down a hill and smash into a tree. I'm not blaming the shift linkage. However, I think there is a better option, which is why I'm going with the Novak. It's tried and true, and it's I think it's more inclined to lock into gear and have less of a chance of popping out. I believe that even states it on their website. So this is the Novak Shift Kit. It obviously comes with better packaging than this. However, I unpackaged it. It comes with really cool, pretty good directions. Comes with two brackets. This is the one that connects to the actual transfer case. This one connects to where the factory shift linkage is bolted to the body. And then the one common denominator that connects the two is the shift cable. So that's kind of it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is get out of the Jeep, drop the skid plate.
I don't know that.
Who's talking to you? Alexa, always butting in. So I'm gonna get out of the Jeep, drop the skid plate just to see.
19. The population of London was 8.99 million people.
She's going crazy. Well, I'll try this again. We're gonna drop the skid plate to see if we can have access to everything we need to have access to. I would like to not drop the cross member. The instructions say that it definitely helps. However, I'm just kind of lazy and I really don't feel like doing it. But we'll see if it's going to help the install overall. So you can see the shifter right there. We're going to go ahead, get that off. I'm going to try to take out this bolt up here on the top, if you can see it. And then the one, if you look straight up, on the actual shift mechanism that comes out of the transfer case. So I'm going to take off this bolt here, and the one actually on the shifter, and the whole thing should come out. I'm going to have to probably put you back here, because I can't hold you and do this at the same time. So, watch away. Watch away. Overall, it's still in good shape. The Hiems have good solid good smooth movement. It doesn't bind up anywhere. I say that and it started to do it just right there. But all in all, not bad. I am replacing with this, a lot more functionality. The beauty part about the cable as opposed to this is this will work in a lot of situations. However, if you lift your Jeep or flex and stuff like that, the cable will do all the flexing. And unibodies are prone to flexing, if you do a lift, if you do a T-case drop, things like that. The cable will adjust on the fly. The cable has play in it and things like that. This will not. You will have to adjust it. Anytime you make an adjustment in your transfer case, let's say you want to clock it or whatever, this probably won't work. Like, you have adjustability here, whereas this one not so much. And like I said, I'm not crapping on this. This is half the price of this. But this, I want my transfer case to stay in gear when I put it in gear. So that's why we're trying this. All right, so now we're gonna go inside the vehicle. We gotta pull the carpet back. Behind this carpet right here is the factory backing plate for the linkage that connects to the body. There are 4 bolts that hold it in, and that comes out. With the Novak Conversions kit, we need to use that as the cable mount on the frame, we'll call it the frame or body side. So yeah, there's 4 bolts here. Now I got to figure out how I want to get the carpet out here. There it is. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but this bolt right here, there's another one right here in the shadows, and I might have covered up the other ones with the Dynamat, so I'm gonna have to cut it out. But basically, that's it. I went up here, pull the carpet down this way, and I had enough play in it to do it. So I think those are 10s. Let's get those out of there. Oh, that's no good. It's just spinning. Great. Let's see what we did. I have a feeling that the backing plates are spinning. Let's see here. Nope, just that one. Alright, I'm gonna put down the camera. Maybe get a vice grip. Put that on there and get that out of here. Alright, so success. Got this off. What I ended up doing, if you look, I've got 4 little round, or I'm supposed to have 4 little round things. One right here. Got all hulkish. Ripped it down. Threw a pair of vice grips on it. And it came out. So we're good. I got my 4 holes. 1, 2, and oh crap, I might have to drill that one out. In my infinite wisdom, when I was doing the floor pans, I accidentally welded over this hole. So I'm gonna have to go back and drill it out. Let's see here. I think it's here. Alright, so now we gotta put the bracket in. However, you either need really long arms, a buddy. I don't have either right now, so I'm gonna use a magnet. So, it's kind of hard to see. I got a big old magnet up there. Let's see if this works. So I was able to get it by myself. I used a magnet to get the top 2 bolts, and then the bottom 2 I just used a piece of PVC pipe I had lying around and a small jack. And if you can see, I pushed the bracket against the Jeep, and now we're good. This should be nice and tight. Yep, nice and tight. Now I can move on to the next piece. So right here, there's a bolt that holds on this little bracket. This has to come off because we need to have access to the mounting bolts behind this. Now this is where the transfer case meets the transmission. I'll try 13. 13 it is. That's a long bolt. Alright, what else is holding that on? To get better access to the bracket and ultimately the 2 mounting bolts that I need for the Novak, I'm going to go ahead and lower the transmission. Beauty part is my kit has a 3-piece cross member, so I have to undo 4 bolts and I can lower it down, and I should, in theory, have enough room to work. right, so got the cross member out. Transmission did not drop nearly as much as I would have liked, probably because I got a couple things that are holding it up in place a little bit better. Trike bar support bracket, and then maybe the exhaust. However, I think if I can get this drive shaft out of here, or at least let it hang down, I should have enough room to do what I need to do. So, let's find out. All right, let's get this out of there. All right. Now, I have a lot more room to work, and I think I can use that. I think I gotta get this bracket out. All right, so good news, I got the bracket off. What I ended up having to use was this. I think this is an 18-inch extension with a swivel and a 9/16 short socket. And if you can imagine, the bracket comes right here. So what I did is I went up and over. It's very awkward. In fact, here's the stud right here. I had to go up and over the bracket kind of like this. Now, the transmission did drop a little bit. It dropped enough for me to do this. I took out the cross member and the drive shaft. And all in all, I was trying to avoid that, but I think this is going to help me put the bracket back in, because the new bracket, if I can find it, here it is, goes up like this, just like that. So that other piece doesn't go back in, but we're reusing the bolts, and yep, just like that. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten that back up. Alright, now we're all reinstalled, so now we can start putting the cable and getting this all finished up. Alright, back on the bench. This is how the cable came from Novak. Just going to remove this clevis and go install this onto the Jeep. Alright, got this all installed. Nice and tight. Let's see what the next part of this is. So I got the cable in the Jeep. I took the ends off. I put the top in first to kind of give me more room to work, because this cable will be in the way. I snugged them down nice and tight, and then I just wrapped the cable around. It's a little tight because it's a very strong cable. However, if you're gentle with it, it's all right. Now I started tightening these up. Now be careful. Don't let these twist the housing of the cable. Otherwise, it's going to bind a little bit. So what I did is I threaded this up a little hair. I only got a couple more threads left, and then I snugged it up here. And so far, it seems to be doing a lot better. The cable is nice and straight. The housing is straight. There's no binding in the movement. So I'm going to go ahead, get the top, we'll say halfway threaded on here, and connect it to the shifter, and then we'll go from there. All right. So after a bunch of back and forth, what I had to do was eventually take the cable back out and lengthen the distance between the brackets. So basically I had to put more threads on the hard case side of the cable, basically to make the cable longer, because I wanted as much torque leverage on this this bracket as possible. So I wanted it as further out as possible, and I snugged everything up. I had to lengthen, once again, this cable, which means I pulled it kind of through the cable, or through the bracket, as much as possible. And now everything seems to be shifting pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead, put everything back together, cross member and everything. Test it one more time, and I think we be good. I think there's just a couple fine-tuning things I might have to do with this, but I could do that with the cross member in. With everything back in the Jeep tightened up to spec, I put the rear tires up in the air just a little bit. I started cycling through the gear selection. It was better, but it still wasn't perfect. So what had happened was when I put the transmission up with the cross member holding it in place, I had to do a little bit of fine tweaking. They do tell you that in the directions. It took all about maybe 15-20 minutes to kind of dial it in to get it where I wanted. Basically what you want to do is get that clevis, the part that the pin goes through. I'll show you. To dial this in, this clevis right here, you want to make it so you don't have to pull on it or push on it. You want to literally just put it in place and put the pin through. You don't want to have to pull it into position or push into position, and that's what I did. I sat under here with the lock nut loose, and literally I put the pin in, and then I pushed the clevis up against it and try to line it up, eyeball it. I had to, you know, either tighten it or loosen it to get it to line up, and it took a couple tries, but once I did, it was good. I put it down, pulled the pin out, put the clevis back up, and then I put the pin in and went back up, cycled the gears, and everything feels like it locks in crisp. I do need to relearn that when you put it into 4 high, it'll lock into 4 high no problem, but when you want to get past 4 high, you kind of have to pull the shifter over and then pull back. I'm used to kind of just like pulling back, just a slight, you know, kind of angle, and it pops right through. That's with the Azzy. However, this does feel crisp. Like when it locks in, you can feel it lock into gear, and that's what's important. I don't want this thing popping out of gear again because it doesn't fully engage. You can feel the detent get stuck or lock into place when it gets into the right gear, and that's what I wanted. I don't want a repeat of when I thought I put it in 4 high and it was kind of stuck in between 4 high and 4 low, and then all of a sudden when the weight of the Jeep rested on the drivetrain, it decided to pop into neutral, and that's what happened. My Jeep rolled down a hill into a tree, which is why I'll be replacing the hatch and the bumper in the next video. So learn from my mistakes. Make sure your shifter is adjusted right, make sure you're in the right gear, and it also helps to have an e-brake. Neutral, 4 high or 4 low, 4 high, 2 high, 4 high, neutral, 4 low. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna rip the Jeep down the street, make sure everything is shifting the way it should, and then make any necessary slight tweaks where is required, and that's about it. With that being said, catch you on the next one.